What's up, everybody? I'm former quarterback Malik Rosier, and if football, sports interviews, and having a good time interests you, then make sure to click the like and subscribe button as it really does help support this channel, and it also makes sure that you guys never miss a new video. How are we doing? And welcome back to another episode of Malik Rosier Show. I hope you guys are having a great week. I know I am. And today we're going to get into some Miami talk and even some NFL talk. I was down at the scrimmage this weekend on Saturday. I had a fun time able to connect with some Miami guys. So if you guys weren't able to see me, please reach out to me. Again, I will be at all the Miami home games, and I would love to connect with any and everyone that is supporting me on YouTube or is just a Miami fan in general. So we're going to go into the Miami scrimmage, okay? And really what we're going to go over is my takeaways from the Miami scrimmage. And what I'm calling this first section is excellence. What did they do really, really well? So number one, the freshmen look really good. There was Francis, there was Ruben Bain, there was Mark Fletcher. There was a ton of freshmen that, were capturing eyes and making plays. And to me, that's really what you want, especially if you're a team that wants to compete. Whenever you're competing at a high level, you got to have freshmen. You got to have young guys, that can implement into, the run game, the pass game, the, pass rush, the secondary, whatever position they play. We would take a quick break to thank our sponsors, DGen Sports. DGen Sports is an exciting NFT project that combines real-world sports and NFT culture. Behind an experienced leadership team, the project just launched their third season and offers free-to-play sports prediction prizes every month. They gave away a $250 NFT for the Masters alone. Follow them on Twitter at DGenSportsIO. Got to be able to implement and basically make an impact. And a lot of our freshmen are really showing a lot of good progress. So super excited about that. Number two, we're going deep. So I don't know if you guys saw, but there was obviously the bomb from TVD to Xavier Restrepo. There was a fade to Kobe Young. We're throwing corners. To me, I really like that. I like how Dawson is really trying to get Tyler comfortable. Obviously, he's going to take his shots, but it will be a little bit different of a version than what Lashley ran, just because Lashley was big on post and digs and verts. And I think Dawson's going to run that, but I think the biggest thing that Dawson wants to do is play fast, almost play like a spread form of like shoot and run, where it screens, it slants, it's get the ball out of TVD's hand, make it to where there's not a lot of pressure on the offensive line, there's not a lot of pressure on the quarterback. Is basically catch left, right, ball out, or 1-2-3 ball out, or 1-2-3 hitch. He's really, really trying to make it a very much of a sequence of where their feet time up with the route. And I love that. That's something that as the game progresses, as I'm in quarter, late in quarter 2, 3, 4, I'm going to be very comfortable with what I'm doing. So I really like the fact that we're going deep, and I like the fact that his feet seem to sync up with a lot of the deep routes. And number three, formations and motions. We did some 12 personnel. There was guys in different spots. I like the motions that we did, to give what I like to call pre-snap indicators. Is it man? Is it zone? Sometimes even teams will rock and roll safety, so they're starting to too high, and as you motion, the safeties will just spin down. So that's what I really like. The fact that we're actually creating defenses based on our formation and our motions, which is something that is very, very smart to manipulate. KYP, which is like know your personnel, know who's out there, know where's my mismatch, and formations and motions definitely help you create mismatches. So next, we're going to go over improvements. I don't like to call it bad, but hey, what do we need to improve on? Number one, better protection. Again, we have some good freshmen. Ruben Bain, obviously we have some good defensive linemen, LT, Mesidor. But at the end of the day, when we play teams, they're going to have good defensive linemen. So there were some sacks, there were some times where, the D-line got back there. So that's the one thing I would say is, our quarterback should never get touched. So that's an area that I think that, we can improve on. Number two is more explosive plays. Again, we had explosive plays, we had deep shots, but you need more. To me, I think the game has changed whenever you hit 2 or 3 posts, 2 or 3 goes. When you start having plays of like 20, 30, 40 plus yards, to me, it really changed the dynamics of the defense. So that's one thing, at least from the offensive skill players and the quarterbacks, that, obviously explosive plays comes as the game goes along. But, when you have the opportunity, we got to make the best of it. And I think for the most part, they did. Again, we had, some deep shots that TVD hit, which I love to see. So, we're at least going to take our shots downfield. And then lastly is this is more for the defensive side is when you're one-on-one matchups because we're playing a ton of man, because we're playing a ton of quarters, there's gonna be times where the corners are one-on-one almost in a cover zero type of look. So they got to win their matchups. They got to win, that one-on-one jump ball, that fade, that post. They got to be in a good position. And for the most part, they were. But that's something that has to be consistent. As you know, we're in the ACC. There's a lot of good quarterbacks. Obviously, there's Jordan Travis, there's Drake May. There's going to be different quarterbacks that we play throughout the year that have some really, really good talent. So having our guys, that can make those harder throws. And again, deep balls are low percentage throws, but if your defensive back is able to keep it with the receivers, then it makes it a little bit easier. So to me, that's really going to be a big emphasis is, our defensive back winning the one-on-one matchups on the outside. So next, I'm going to go into the top two teams that I can really, really see, competing for really the playoffs. And number one, if the ACC was to make the Final Four, it would probably be FSU. To me, they have the quarterback, they have the receivers, they have the skills, they have really good running backs. So I think that they're in a position this year just because of some of the talent that is older. They don't have kind of like Clemson. They have a sophomore quarterback. They have people in position that to me can really help them in the playoffs. And next is Clemson. You can't count them out. Obviously, they got Dabo. Kay Klubnik is a very, very good quarterback. If they can protect this kid, I can definitely see them going, 11-1, maybe even 10-2. And possibly undefeated, but I think that's very, very hard for them. But I can definitely see them making a push and having their chance to potentially play for the Final Four. So now we're going to switch over to our NFL segment, and I'm really excited about this segment. The first thing that I really, really want to talk about is Anthony Richardson became the starter for the Colts. To me, I like it, but I don't like it, and we'll kind of go over. And for this, I'm gonna have good and bad. So the good on this, he's gonna get experience. He's gonna create chemistry with his guys, the offensive linemen, the cadence, the receivers. He'll get more and more because now he won't be getting the second team reps. He'll be getting the first team reps for an entire year. So from an experience and a chemistry standpoint, it makes a lot of sense getting this guy acclimated, especially if he's your first round draft pick. You see the ability, we see the size, we see the speed, definitely the arm talent, but to me, the biggest thing is, does this experience, help him out in the long run? To me, I think that's a lot of stuff that obviously the Colts have made the decision on, but I think it could be very, very interesting in the future. And lastly, is his routine. To me, this is the biggest thing. This is one of the hardest things, for guys to understand is creating your routine, creating your schedule, creating something that your body naturally flows into. When you create your perfect routine, to me, the game becomes a lot easier because you're always on top of stuff. You don't miss stuff. So, to me, this definitely helps him create an early routine of saying, hey, this is the film I got to study. This is what I got to do. This is, X, Y, and Z, whether it's taking care of my body, whether it's getting extra throwing. It's going to create that routine, because when you're a backup, when you're a starter, the routines are similar, but they're definitely not the same. And so I think that part will really, really help Anthony as he learns and grows. And really, next we're going to the bad. To me, overall, he is very inexperienced. He didn't have a lot of playing time at Florida. Obviously, he has no playing time in the NFL. So, that part could definitely, cause him to go number two, which is early exposure. Obviously his mechanics, I'm not saying they're not the best, but, he definitely needs to grow more and more. Again, his arm talent is an issue. To me, it's just, being consistent, being accurate, making the easy throws look easy, and obviously making the hard throws look easy. That's what, the best quarterbacks do. When you talk about, Tom Brady and Peyton Manning and Joe Burrow and Patrick Mahomes, they make the easy throw look easy and they make the hard throws look easy. And so that's something that, I'm very interested to see, can he do that? Can he grow throughout the year? And then the last one is questioning. And to me, I mean more with his teammates, with the fans, maybe he goes out and he has a bad year. He doesn't put up a lot of numbers. Should we have drafted him early? Should he have started this year? To me, there's going to be a whole bunch of questions that now you're putting on this guy's lap that if you would have just waited and let him grow, some of those won't happen. Again, I think that the Colts are a team that is building. I think there's someone that they understand, hey, this is our couple years to build and, get our draft picks and get our guys experience. So I definitely don't disagree with that. To me, I think if you think Anthony is the future of the Colts, to me, you really don't have a bad pick for Gardner Minshew. So we're gonna go ahead and go through this. This is obviously Gardner. To me, I really, really like Gardner. If you guys go back and watch him play with the Colts, you guys go back and watch him play with the Jaguars. The guy looks really good. This is his final drive, but he goes down in a 2-minute drive and he winds up scoring for the Colts. To me, he's someone that yeah, he's not necessarily, going to win you the national championship. He's not necessarily So Gardner isn't necessarily going to win you the Super Bowl, but it'll still get you wins. He'll still let Anthony learn. You can still probably play Anthony behind him, say, hey, Gardner's going to go at the beginning. You're going to get your feet wet. Then we're going to, kind of go back and forth with you guys for the first year. To me, there's a lot of options that they could have done, but obviously they went with their options. But to me, I do not think Gardner Minshew is a bad pick. Again, you guys go back and watch him at Jacksonville. You guys can go back and walk in the preseason, even watch him, next week, whenever, or really this week, whenever he plays again. The guy's going to be consistent. He's going to throw really catchable balls. The easy throws will look easy. The hard throws will look okay. The biggest knock on him is size and arm strength. But to me, at the end of the day, 85% of your throws are going to come within 35 yards. So, every once in a while, he'll stretch it out 50, 60 yards. For the most part, he doesn't have to. So to me, I think it'll be super, super interesting to see, how this situation gets handled for the future if Anthony Richardson does start to struggle. And lastly, we're talking about my dog, Brock Purdy. He is him. So lastly, we're going to talk about my dog, Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy is him. A lot of people had their ups and downs about him. I've been a big Brock Purdy fan since the playoffs when I watched him play. And we're going to kind of go through why I'm a fan of Brock Purdy. So number one is the system that he's in. The system that he's in is great. Obviously, Kyle Shanahan knows what he's doing. He has a lead of talent around him. I'm pretty sure he has 6 players in the top 50 that played with him. Kittle, there's Trent Williams, there's a defensive guys. So the system that he's in and the people that he's playing around are really good. But just watch him, man. I mean, even on that one, I'm gonna go back and push that one back. But if you guys go back and look, that's Jalen Phillips, 6'6", barreling down his face, and he throws a strike down the middle. And again, I'm gonna pause it, but if you look right here, okay, so if he leads that too much, he's getting smacked or maybe even picked. If he overthrows it or throws it behind them, this guy's picking it. So to me, when you talk about ball placement, that's the one thing that I really look for. And that's one thing that I really like about him is his ability to place the ball. Second, again, when we talked about ball placement, you watch him here, he's going to throw it right here, bam, on the body, doesn't lead him, make sure he protects himself. You talk about, being able to have these guys trust him. To me, that's something that, he does really, really well. Again, I don't think he's going to have the arm like Trey Lance. I don't think he's going to be able to, run away from, from people. But when you talk about someone that just does his job, look at that athletic, boom, ball. And the last one, sneaky athlete, man. This guy can make plays. The more and more you watch him, again, he's not going to necessarily blow you away, with his ability to run. But when you watch him in the pocket, man, he does a good job with moving his feet. He does a really good job of, not allowing the first guy to take him down. And that's really all you can ask, okay? And obviously, he has a really, really good team around him, which is going to protect him, which is going to make plays for him. I think he has, if not the best back with Christian McCaffrey out. But again, guy in his face, throws it down. Again, it's underthrown, but at the end of the day, it's his job to get the ball to the receiver, and he did. This was obviously, again, this is a system call. Great call, great ball. So, again, I really like Purdy. I don't know if you guys saw, but Kyle Shanahan based on him, it's his job to lose. You'd have to melt out there for him to lose his job. So, I'm a big fan. I expect him to have a really, really big year. So I really hope you guys like this episode. Again, if you guys do not, please like, subscribe, and share, as it does go a very, very long way. And thank you guys for watching, and I hope you guys have a great rest of your day.